Jack Drury is a player who, upon having you clicked on this video, probably made you go like, who? Because I don't think there's really a big acknowledgement for players who aren't really in the top rankings of prospects. So this episode of Why I Want for the Vancouver Canucks focuses on Drury right here. Who is Jack Drury? A lot of you guys are probably going to have to get used to this because the next few episodes of Why I Want won't really focus on the top-end guys. Honestly, I've already exhausted all the top-end talent that I would like to have. That includes Oliver Wahlstrom, Adam Boakfus, Quinn Hughes, Joe Veleno, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. That's basically the amount of top-end talent that I want in this draft. So it's time to talk about the other guys, even beyond the guys like Dominic Bach, who are going to go in the late first round, early second round most likely. Let's talk about guys like Jack Drury right here, who is rated 65th by Future Considerations. If you do the mathematics, that is a very early third round pick, considering that the third round starts at pick number 63, and Drury right here is ranked at 65. There is a really close chance that the Vancouver Canucks would be able to pick Drury when they pick in the third round. For those wondering, by the way, the Vancouver Canucks pick is 68th overall. So who exactly is Jack Drury? I've been dragging this out for quite a bit. Let's actually start talking about the player right here. Jack Drury is a 5'11", 180-pound center playing over there in the USHL. He's from Illinois. He's an American kid. As a guy who was born in February of 2000, he just turned 18, and he's now getting ready to get drafted into the NHL. The team that he played for in this most recent draft year for him, the Waterloo Black Hawks of the USHL. If you want to know about his production, as a center, as the captain of the Waterloo Black Hawks, Jack Drury grabbed himself 65 points and 24 goals in 56 USHL games. He was 4th in all USHL points this season with these 65 points, but you gotta keep in mind the fact that his two line mates, Jackson Cates and Benjamin Copeland, were 5th and 6th in the point race. So really, the Waterloo Black Hawks just had a really stacked line this year, but Jack Drury being the guy who is eligible to be drafted for the first time this year, he's putting a lot of eyes towards him. So if you want to take a look at why this is good, people are asking, okay, what about it is good? I mean, this is the USHL. The USHL hasn't really been known for producing that many superstars for the NHL thus far, except that's kind of where I want to draw the line here a little bit, because I don't know if a lot of you guys need reminders or not, but the last time the Vancouver Canucks drafted a player who finished top 4 in USHL points with 65 or more points under the age of 18 playing for the Waterloo Black Hawks, they drafted Brock Boeser. And calm down, guys. I'm not the one here saying that this guy is the next Boeser. That's not what I'm saying. But I will want to say that I want Jack Drury, because if we take a look at everything Boeser accomplished playing for the Waterloo Black Hawks that season, things aren't looking all that different for Drury. Now, of course, there's a little bit of a different factor here, considering that Brock Boeser led his team in points by 20, so that's a lot of points. Definitely not at the same level as Drury this year, but the difference here is Jack Drury is not projected to be a first-round pick. What would be the problem with using a third-round pick on this guy? There would be no problems whatsoever, and I don't think that anybody would have any qualms about that if he was selected by the Canucks. So, let's take a look a little bit more at just what Drury accomplished in his USHL season. So, we already went over the point totals, 65 points in 56 games played. If you go over to the rest of the UHL, that's 4th in total points, okay. If you go over to points per game, in this USHL season, Jack Drury is down there at 11th with 1.16. However, if you change the age bracket and you go to under 18 players, so guys who are just being eligible for the draft this year, Jack Drury is 6th on this list. But the thing is, if you want to look at this points per game list, for players under the age of 18 playing in the USHL, if you sort by points per game, Jack Drury is 6th, yes, but the thing about this list is, out of the top 10 players, 9 of them are from the US development team. So that's why Jack Hughes is 1st, Wahlstrom is 2nd, Farabee is 4th, and Drury, the only player on this list for a long while, is the only Waterloo Black Hawk, let alone the only player not on the US development program, in the top 10. So obviously, it's easy to take a look at this and say, yeah, well, he's only there because he had really good teammates himself, what are you getting on about? But again, this doesn't mean that he's a bad player. And there also is one more thing that I'd like to look at, Drury as well as his production, in terms of other players who have played in the USHL. So Brock Boeser, when he got drafted by the Canucks in 2015, he grabbed himself 68 points in 57 games played. So, if we go over every player who played in the USHL under the age of 18 from 2014-15 until 18-19, and if we assort it by points per game, you can see the list right here. There's a ton of US development program players. Hughes, Matthews, Wahlstrom, Clayton Keller, Jake Wise, Farabee, Roslovic, Kiefer Bellows, Kachuk. But if we go down to 15th, 16th, and 17th, Brock Boeser and Jack Drury are very similar in terms of their production. And if you go even further past that, you can see some other notable names who haven't had that much of success playing in the USHL compared to Drury and Boeser. Just an immediate observation is Eli Tolvanen, who in 2016-17 only notched 1.04 points per game in comparison to Drury's 1.16 and Boeser's 1.19. So obviously, this is a player who could definitely be a steal if he turns out to be a player that is producing at his rate. So, I'm not going to say that we should take him because he's going to be the next Boeser or whatever. I'm not saying that we should take him just because he was playing for Waterloo this season, but also there's the fact that he's committed to the University of Harvard for next season, which, if you're paying attention, is the university that Vancouver Canucks prospect Jack Rathbone, as well as potential Vancouver Canucks prospect Oliver Wahlstrom, will be playing at. So that's just another added level of, okay, if we took Drury with our 3rd round pick, if he's still there, he'll have a chance to develop alongside of Rathbone and potentially Oliver Wahlstrom if we have any instincts on taking him as well. But there still is another aspect to this video that I haven't even touched on at all, and that was, what exactly does Drury play like? I've been spending so much time talking about stats, I didn't really talk about him playing at all. So, there's a few highlight packages of Drury out there online, but from the ones that I've seen, which, you know, they're also the ones that are very much available to you guys watching this video as well, he's a player who's got a really good instinct for where things are on the ice. And combined with this, he's got such a high confidence level out there. I don't know if it's just the highlights that I've seen personally, but there are so many times where he makes a small little mistake, or he does kind of the wrong move out there on the ice, and he quickly takes a look back, sees where the best available option is for him, and he quickly just absolutely executes. A little flick of the backhand going behind him to his other teammate, or a quick shot on net that ends up being a rebound. He's a guy who's got a strong idea of what it takes to maintain pressure. And he's one of those players who, if you watch his highlights, you watch him and you go, huh, that was a good play he just did. He doesn't, like, dangle his way through everybody, nor does he always have a super slick Brock Boeser wrist shot that goes in all the time. But he makes a lot of decisions that you look at and you're like, huh, that was a really good decision. His offensive pressure is very unique, and it works. So I believe Drury is one of those players who, when given the right opportunities and the right line mates, he can totally execute under whatever circumstances you want him to. And I understand why he's projected to go into third round, because hey, this guy played on a really stacked line that was 4th, 5th, and 6th in points in the USHL this season. Okay, what? And I understand that he's not necessarily the biggest guy out there, being just under 6 feet and 180 pounds, so obviously this isn't necessarily the player that guys are going to be snagging up in the first round, but if you just take a look at the history books, Vancouver Canucks fans, I would be really happy to draft him. And that is why I want Jack Drury for the Vancouver Canucks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, like, download your gaming, and bye.